over to America, to Columbus, Ohio, which is where Monique and Spencer Tepe were murdered in the early hours of the morning, where somebody, allegedly Michael McKee, let me put up the, I'm going to put up the thumbnail because it's got a photo of Michael on it and also Monique and Spencer. So Monique and Spencer Tepe, they are the most important people in this case because they are the victims, of course. Oh God, this computer's too slow, so slow, I can't bear it. Come on. Why is it not showing me? Yeah, I can't. What am I doing wrong? Maybe hang on, let me see. Maybe I was pressing the wrong button. Yeah. I'm just going to put up the thumbnail. So it's got a picture of Monique and Spencer on it and also the perpetrator alleged. So that's Monique and Spencer on their wedding day in the forefront of that picture. They were a couple in their late 30s with 2 children, just coming up to their 5th wedding anniversary, living in their house. He's a dentist, she's a stay-at-home mum, looking after the children, getting on with their life, apparently. Very, very happy together. As I say, coming up to their 5th wedding anniversary, 2 children, a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and a dog they had. And there they were minding their own business in their house in the middle of the night. Somebody came into their house in the wee hours of the morning and shot them both brutally multiple times. And they fortunately left the children alive, left the dog alive. But nobody knows. I mean, it's alleged that it was this man at the back there, Michael McKee, who is Monique's ex-husband. From 2017, they divorced. So all that time that they've been divorced, and allegedly it was him who made over a 5-hour trip from where he lived in Chicago, drove all the way there with his weapon, somehow got into their house, which we don't know yet how he got in there, and shot them, killed them, and nobody knows why. I mean, he was a jilted ex-husband, but so long ago, people are like, God, did he really hold a grudge all that time? And the other thing that strikes me about Michael, every time you see a photo of him, he looks different. So this picture on the right here, I'll show them closer up in a minute individually. This is Michael when he was first arrested. He's now been extradited because he was arrested in Chicago. He's now been extradited and sent to Columbus, Ohio. And this is him now. And he's checked. One thing that strikes me about this man, he looks different in every photo you see of him. He's like a chameleon, So his jaw is very. Maybe I can find a better picture. Hang on. I did download a photo of him. Yeah. So look at the difference here between when he was first arrested and now his new mugshot. He looks completely different. Look how big his face is there. Is he one of those people that loses weight? When he loses weight, he goes, you literally, somebody could show you those 2 pictures and it could be 2 different people. Couldn't it? Could be 2 different people. No, we know it's the same person, so you look for similarities. Obviously, the glasses are the same, but his face looks so different. And then his face on his wedding pictures with Monique, and what we're going to see is the pictures that he put on his dating profile for Bumble. How he looked different on them as well, and of course he looks different when he's smiling. Um, but you know, most people, even though they might look a bit different if they change their hair or their facial hair or take their glasses off or whatever, they don't look that different, do they? You know, I've never known anyone look so different. You know, it's like, yeah, he maybe it's the way he's holding his head. Maybe he's got his head tipped up more on the first picture. But it just strikes me. Whereas, look, if we let's see, let's have a look at another one while we're looking at the pictures of him. We look at now. I know his picture on his dating profile was longer ago, of course. I've got that somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where's the picture I've got of him? It just looks like a complete. I think on the other, because he's smiling on this other picture when I finally find it. Just I think I could show you a million pictures of me, either from this year, from last year, from 10 years ago, from 20 years ago, from 30 years ago, and I look exactly the same. You know, just a few more wrinkles. My hair changing. You know, I'm always changing my hair, but you know, I've never known. Some people literally are like chameleons, aren't they? They look different. Where's that other picture I've got? I've got a picture of him. Well, this is a picture when he got married to Monique, and I know it's quite a few years ago. But it looks different on there as well. I'm gonna do a little gallery for him of all these different pictures. Of course, he's smiling on that picture, but I just think he looks different on all of them. And as I say, I've got a picture of him off Bumble, which he looks completely different again. So relaxed. Well, we'll see it anyway with the article that we're going to look at. I've never known a person look so different on every single photo of him. He could be a different person. I'm sure if you show, can't find it now, but we'll see it in a minute. The chameleon, isn't he? Bit of a chameleon, which makes you wonder: is it because he's like maybe he's a little bit different personalities? You know, and sometimes that shows in people's faces, doesn't it? People can look unrecognizable sometimes when anger takes them over, or mental illness, or you know. So I don't know. It strikes me as a very chilling person. But so let's have a look. What we're going to look at now. Let me put some. Just going to put some windows down. Yeah, let's have a look at the dating pictures of him. Oh, shit. Press the wrong button just for a change. Yeah. So we're going to have a look at these dating pictures of him. There it is. There it is. Look how different it looks there. So he's clean shaven there. And I know it was perhaps a few years ago, but he looks very relaxed. His hair's a bit different. I know he's not got his glasses on, but his jaw again. This must be a time where he's slimmer as well, because his jaw, his face is not so heavy set, is it? Just ever seen anyone look so different on all their photos? You could show someone all those photos and they would not know that's the same person, or that's how it strikes me anyway. But you'll let me know what you think. Yeah, he looks so relaxed there in this picture, doesn't he? So let's see what this Sun article says about this. So, chilling details about a surgeon accused of killing his ex-wife and her new dentist husband have been unearthed from his dating profile. So he's been charged with the double murder after cops said his car was located close to the couple's home, despite him now living hundreds of miles away. And I think we cannot, so this was his profile on Bumble, we cannot underestimate how far this man travelled to murder these people. This was a determined act. It wasn't a crime of passion or a psychotic rape. I don't think. Because all that time to plan it, to drive up 5.5, 6 hours to get into the house somehow, to take, well, did he take away some of his cartridges? Because 3 cartridges were found there in the flat. I'm wondering now, sorry, in the house. I'm wondering now, did they go under the bed or to places that didn't see them? Because it's now being said that both Monique and Spencer were shot multiple times. So there were only 3 cartridges found. So that's why everybody presumed that someone was shot twice and that the other one was shot once. But did he take away the other cartridges? And this guy, although he's supposed to be intelligent, 'cause he's a surgeon, a vascular surgeon, he's a thicko because not only he had the gun still in his house, he had multiple weapons in his house when the police went to his house. One of which is the gun that was used in the crime. I mean, how stupid can you get? I mean, in his 5.5 hour drive back home, he could have disposed of that gun, couldn't he? But why did he keep hold of it? Did he really think the police would have no idea it was him? He's a thicko who thinks he's clever. So he might be clever in a surgeon way, but he's not clever in a common sense way. Yeah. See, at the end of the day, if you were a single woman of his age and you were looking on Bumble, for a date or whatever, he would look attractive, wouldn't he? He's a good-looking guy. He looks nice in that picture, doesn't he? He's got this Michael, 32 at the time, vascular surgeon, Ohio State University. Well, you'd look at him and you think, oh, he looks quite nice with his nice jumper on, and he looks quite broad and fit, and yeah. And he, part of his profile, he said, "I'm lucky to have work I find meaningful and increased free time for new things. Currently trying hot yoga." That would put me off him because I hate yoga with passion. So, yoga, I know it's good. And people who do yoga, it's brilliant. I just don't like it at all. I don't know why. I just don't. So that would put me off him because I think, well, I hope he might want me to go to yoga with him. So not going. Anyway, way less flexible than I recall. Planning a trip itineraries to make use of global entry, and I hopped on an electric motorcycle. Haven't died yet. Well, sorry to be brutal, but it's a shame you didn't die, to be honest, because if you would have died, those 2 people who deserve to be alive would still be alive and be able to be parents to their children. And talking of which, here they are, Monique and Spencer, looking so happy, and to all intents and purposes, they were happy. In the beginning, you couldn't help but think maybe there's more to this because they always did look happy on all their photos and that. But as we know, like Madison and Johnny Smith, people do look nice on their happy on their social media pictures. It doesn't always mean that they are happy. So, there was that sort of, is there more to their relationship? Is there something we don't know? But it seems like no, that they genuinely were happy, and that's why he could not stand it. So he had all this brooding evil inside him. And, I still think the wedding video, I bet you watched that wedding video many, many times. and just hated it because they looked so happy. So, graduate degree, socially, never smokes, drinks socially, never smokes. Children want someday. So, of course, he had no children. Maybe he thought he was never going to have any, but he was only 39. I mean, for a man, that's young, isn't it? Men can go on at God, Rod Stewart and all these geriatrics, they go on having kids forever, don't they? So, he wasn't too old to have children. He was only 32, of course, with this. But even when he got to 39, he still wasn't too old. His interests: art, design, basketball, football, skiing. And there he is again, looking different. Look at him. Looks so different when he's relaxed and smiling. He could be a different person. Maybe it's the glasses that make the difference. I don't know. But I've never seen a person who looks so different on every single photo that I've seen of him, Yeah, it does look a bit like Max Headroom, Bluebell. He does, doesn't he? Yeah. But not so much. So he has got a square jaw and that, but it just seems more relaxed. It looks massive on that first picture. So I've cycled from the Pacific to the Atlantic, went to the full 8-second rodeo and drank water when I was thirsty. So he called himself Mike on the profile. He shared pics of himself socialising with friends. Wonder what they make of it all. So, multiple firearms seized from his Illinois property after his arrest on January the 10th, and one weapon has been preliminarily linked to the crime through ballistic evidence. I just can't believe he kept that weapon in his property, because he mustn't have thought the police were coming from him. And of course, his charges have been upgraded to be premeditated, aggravated murder. He's got possibility of the death penalty. And to be honest, I think that if anyone deserves the death penalty, someone like this does, because it's so cold-blooded what he did. And it's just vengeance, bitterness, spite. This couple were just living their life, bringing up their kids. And he just is so spiteful. So, of course, they're treating it as domestic violence related, and it seems like there was some domestic violence in their marriage when he was married to Monique. Now, I would imagine that when he was on Bumble, he had a lot of dates. As I say, when we looked at that, he looked, handsome. He's just, at the end of the day, he's a surgeon. Women would be thinking, oh, he's got a good job. He's got all these interests. Probably would have been quite popular on the site, I would imagine. If you were a 30-year-old, he's 32. So if you're in your 30s, you'd look at that and you think, oh, yeah, he's nice. And, if you wanted children as well, he wants children. It just shows you just don't know, do you? You go on these dating sites, you have no idea about the real person. Of course, you don't know that even if you meet someone in a bar. I mean, dating sites are the way that people meet nowadays. And Monique and Spencer met on a dating site and it worked out for them. Well, until he got involved in it. So, this is the modern way that people meet. And literally, you could go to a bar, a pub, bump into someone, you don't know anything about them. The only time you know anything about people is if, they're friends of friends or, stuff like that. And even then, you don't really know what's happened in their previous relationships. And that's very worrying, really. Anyway, so we're going to look at a woman talking on TikTok, a woman who did go out with him, and she had nothing but good things to say about him. He was so nice. This is the other thing, isn't it? That is scary. Monsters, murderers like this man, they're not gibbering wrecks covered in tattoos and, that say, I am a murderer across their forehead. they're normal people. That this woman that we're going to look at, she thought he was lovely. Yeah, really nice. So let's have a look what she had to say. So I saw this. I just have to tell my source. This is on the Survivor podcast. He shared it, but I think it's her actual TikTok. I'm not sure, but anyway, I'm giving the credit to Surviving the Survivor podcast, and this girl is his alleged ex-girlfriend, talking about when she went out with him briefly. And she got nothing but good things to say about him.
I was floored. So just wanted to hop on and talk a little bit about the whole situation. So I dated him around the end of 2017 through a good chunk of 2018, I think. So what I remember of him is he was just like a...
Now, just let me say, so the end of 2017, well, he split up from Monique. Well, they divorced in 2017. I think they'd already been separated for a year, but they split up in 2017. So this woman has dated Michael when he first got divorced from Monique, and she said he was lovely. So what's happened in the meantime, who knows?
Nice guy. Like, he was quiet, introverted, which there's nothing wrong with that. He was a general surgery resident at the time where I was doing my residency as well, and he was really nice. Like, there was no issues with him. He was always kind and respectful with me. I've been over his house. It's pretty crazy that you never know someone. But long story short, he did tell me a little bit about his divorce at the time. So, and again, I want to preface this with, this is his side of the story.
I just want to say, I'm going to play this again just all the way through, but I just want to comment on it this first time. She'd been to his house. Now, bear in mind, now the police are saying he had multiple weapons in his house. Oh my God. So you just think, she's been there in his house. Did he have guns all over his house there? I mean, that's it. You just don't fit, and I know what you're saying there, David, about dating sites. But it's not only dating. You just don't know. You could meet. I could go out tonight. There's so many bars and restaurants in this area. You don't. What's the difference? All it is people do it in their homes now. They look through dating sites, but you've got to really do your due diligence when it comes to meeting new people. I almost think you should do a bloody background check on them before you get into, certainly before you go to their house or whatever. She's been in his house and he's got multiple weapons in his house. When you go back to someone's house, you have no idea what you're walking into, do you? Or, I mean, at least if they come, but sooner or later in a relationship, you're going to either go back to their house or they're going to come to your house. But if you go to their house, you just don't know what they've got hidden around, do you? I've seen so many crime videos about things that have happened to people when they've gone to people's houses. I don't think I'll ever go to anyone's house again. It's just like, they'll have to come here. But even if they come to your house, you don't know, what they're going to do or what they're not going to do. Now, bear in mind, I'm talking about now, probably because I've got so interested in true crime now. Many years ago, I have done something which, when I think about it now, I don't even know how I'm still alive. Not that long ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I've been on dating sites. I've been to people's houses. I've been and met them miles away, when I think about it now, it would have been one of these true crime podcasts, definitely. To be told, and then she went to their house. I've done, people do it, that's normal life, isn't it? Go back to someone's house, go out with them, get in their car. Thing is, once you get in a car as well. Anyway, never mind. So let's see what she's got to say.
he spoke to me. This is not truth. This is obviously very biased. But what he told me was that one day he came home from residency and that Monique had vanished. Like she took everything. She left the house completely empty and also took their dog. He was just left.
Now, I had heard that literally he went out one day and Monique got a U-Haul round, like a van, a moving van, and her family helped her and that she just moved everything out. And that's the first time I'd heard that she took the dog as well. And then when he got home, so that says to me there was definitely domestic violence in that relationship, because for someone to not feel confident that they could leave them by just saying to them, look, I'm sorry, I'm leaving you, I can't do it anymore. But she was, went to those lengths to leave him in stealth like that, suggests to me she was too scared to leave him in a normal way. I understand that 100% because she was terrified of him. You can see that, which is really quite scary now to think about, that this poor girl, she'll be thinking about that now. She'll be thinking when she went back to his house. I mean, we don't know what happened when whether they had any, relations, sex or anything like that. I hope for her sake they didn't, because she'll be thinking about that now as well. Because of course that's when you're very vulnerable, isn't it? It's one thing going out for a meal with someone, even going back to someone's house or going out with friends in public. But once you're in that intimate situation where you're actually, in the bed together or, just the two of you, and you get into an sex situation, you are so vulnerable then. You just are completely vulnerable, alone with a person that you don't really know that well. So I wonder if that goes through her mind, or maybe it never came to that in their relationship. Maybe she went back to his house, but it didn't go to any more than that. I hope for her sake it didn't.
Very stunned because he didn't see this coming, and he was like completely devastated.
I'm going to stop it there.
So, yeah, I know what you're saying, David, but I've dated off dating sites, and that's why when you first meet them, you do meet up with them. You don't just jump from seeing them on a dating site to marrying them. Then you have to talk to them on the phone first. And my recommendations to people, and I've had some brilliant dates off dating sites, and I've had some really bad ones. I've never had a one where I felt really, the only one that I ever felt a little bit worried, but I never got in their car. I always met up with people in a bar or a cafeteria. Quite often my friends would be there as well. But obviously the person I was meeting didn't know that. And if I started to feel safe with them, then I would, because, you have to get that. You get more of a vibe when you meet someone face to face. Until you meet someone face to face, you don't know exactly how you feel about them. So what I would do, my friends would come to the bar and they'd sit up at the bar and I'd be sat with whoever it was I was meeting, and I'd be messaging my friends saying, oh yeah, he's quite nice, you can come over now or whatever. I've done that many times. As I say, only one that I ever really did feel uncomfortable with. I won't go into the details. Maybe one time on a members, but just the way he was talking was inappropriate. See, now I think we had met a couple of times. We'd been on a couple of dates. Just didn't like the way he was talking. Just felt, and he was trying to get me to get in his car. Literally practically inviting me into his car, and I just thought, oh no, anyway, and then I never saw him again after that. But I did rely on my instinct. But lots of others I've gone out with. Some I've developed into a relationship. One person, a 17-year on-off relationship. So you do meet a lot of nice people as well online. And at the end of the day, whatever anyone says, that's the way people do it these days. Young people do it. But yeah, I would always advise meeting them in a public place for the first few times. You have to get to know them a bit. I literally know people who have never met their person that they say they're in love with or whatever, and they're like, well, you've never met up with them because they live in another country or something. I mean, that's ridiculous. How could you be in love with someone you've never even met? You know, you've got to meet them. But I think for actually initially meeting people, I think dating sites are fine. But I think you obviously, when you get into, you have to, the other thing I'd always recommend to people is meet up with them quickly. Don't get into a long, you don't want a bloody year-long chatting relationship online, because then when you meet up with them and it all falls apart, you think, God, I've just wasted a whole year of my life. You know, so meet them pretty quick and get your thoughts then. But yeah, because you know what, people get into bad relationships wherever they meet people. And a lot of people meet online, like Monique and, don't forget, Monique and Spencer met on Bumble. So theirs was an example of how there's probably most relationships start these days online. I bet 90% of relationships do. Or maybe not 90%, but I bet there's a good percentage. I bet there's more than 50% of relationships nowadays that start online, because that's just the way it is. You just, you know, it is. So, you know, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, it's the way it is. So let's just watch what she has to say again. Now, I don't know what happened in their relationship, why they ended up not seeing each other anymore. But she's saying clearly no warning signs when she met him. He seemed nice. He was really nice. So, but she didn't know. Now, this,
I was floored.
sorry, you know, my ex, who was sort of stalkerish and jealous, he was seeing somebody else. Now, she probably, I don't know if she knew about me. You know, I often think about her because I didn't know her, but he told me he was in a relationship with somebody else. I think he was trying to make me jealous. I mean, it didn't make me jealous. A little bit, you know, because at the end of the day, it's all right. Well, you moved on pretty quick, but you know, but I was also really relieved because I was just thinking, oh, thank God he's met somebody else. But you know, obviously, that meeting somebody else didn't stop his stalkerish tendencies and stuff. So the thing is, he's met this girl. To be honest, she reminds me a little bit of Monique. I know she's blonde, whereas Monique was dark, but she's got that nice open way about her. You know, she just didn't know. Now, I wonder how, because that's something to watch out for. I always think if you're with someone and they're always talking about their ex, it's like, oh, for God's sake, you know, they're obviously still hung up on them. You know, I've found it sometimes when you're going out with divorced men, they're quite bitter about their ex-wives. That's something is just a no-no for me completely. You know, they start going, oh, well, she took me for all this money and she got half the house and she got this and she did this. And you just think, oh, for God's sake, you know, get over it. You know, and she might have a kid. She's probably looking after the kids, and this person's moaning because she got the house. Well, where was she supposed to live? In a van? You know, so I always think, yeah, avoid divorced people who are just saying bad things about their ex, because you know what, divorce normally is not just one person's fault, is it? You know, a relationship's break down, and if somebody's constantly criticising their ex, apart from the fact I don't want to sit there and listen to them talking about their ex, it always suggests to me that they're still hung up on them. A bit like Seth Rogers in the Sebastian Rogers case. You know, to me, Seth is patently still in love with Katie. That's why he's so bitter about it all. And so I wonder how much he talked to her about his ex, whether she got angry, not angry, but whether she got fed up in the end about it.
So just wanted to hop on and talk a little bit about the whole situation. So I dated him around the end of 2017 through a good chunk of 2018, I think. So what I remember of him is he was just like a nice guy. Like, he was quiet, introverted, which there's nothing wrong with that. He was a general surgery resident at the time where I was doing my residency as well. And he was really nice. Like, there was no issues with him. He was always kind and respectful with me. I've been over his house. It's pretty crazy that you never know someone. But long story short, he did tell me a little bit about his divorce at the time. So, and again, I want to preface this with, this is his side of the story and what he spoke to me. This is not truth. This is obviously very biased, but what he told me was that one day he came home from residency and that Monique had vanished. Like, she took everything. She left the house completely empty and also took their dog. He was just left very stunned because he didn't see this coming, and he was like completely devastated.
I'm going to stop it there.
Yeah. So he was completely devastated. We have no idea why she just left me one day and took the dog. I don't know. Could it have been because I'd been threatening to kill her and using coercive control? That he didn't mention any of that, though, did he? Why she left him just like that? You know, these men and women, they're good at appearing like victims. You know, so it's like he's the victim. She left him in that cruel manner. You know, it's like, and she, as a nice person, would probably. And I would have been at her age. Now I'd think, I wonder what you did. Like, that's how you get cynical as you get older. Because yeah, when I was her age, if he was telling me that, I'd be thinking, oh, what a bitch! Fancy doing that? Fancy just leaving him like that and taking the dog. Whereas now I'd be thinking, red flag, do that. You know, so. You change, don't you? You know, these narcissists, they can't accept that they've done anything wrong. You know, nothing. Like most people say, oh yeah, you know, none of us are perfect, are we? You know, none of us are perfect, and we've all done things that we wrong things, or you know, most of us would look at a relationship and think, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have done that, or even we'll take guilt on about things that we didn't do, you know. But narcissists like him, he would never take responsibility. It'll be all her fault. We'll have been going around saying to people she was mentally ill. Probably that's what they do as well, isn't it? They go around saying, oh, there's something wrong with her. Another thing they do is blame it on the family, don't they? Oh, the family's a bad influence. They had it against me from the beginning. You know, those kind of things. That's the other thing that they do. You know, it's just what people do, isn't it? People can't take responsibility for things that they do wrong, generally, especially narcissists like him. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that because I did think it was interesting that she said how nice he was. You know, you just think, oh my God, you know, these monsters, they literally walk amongst us. You've got to be so careful because, you know, you just don't know with people. People that seem nice job as they're quite handsome. He looked on those pictures when he was relaxed and smiling, laughing and joking, animal lover, you know, all those good things that you would look for. Look, you know, if you were that age looking for a partner, you know, wants children, you think, God, on paper he's like, you know, he's the ideal man, isn't he? Or, you know, not far off it. And then he's a murderer inside. Because you know what? He will have been thinking about killing Monique for years, I think. I don't think he's just suddenly thought, I'm going to kill her. Apparently, he threatened to kill her many times while they were married. So he's held that inside him all that time. And something has triggered it off finally. You know, whether it's that claim against him, you know, malpractice claim, maybe it was the court case being sort of wrongly rescheduled, maybe it was catching sight of the wedding video. Now, I did notice in the wedding video, Monique's made a comment saying about all those rivers of tears she's gone through to find Spencer, and she went to say a bad relationship, but she changed it at the last minute and said a bad relationships. So she probably thought, oh God, because if you say a bad relationship, it's obviously her relationship with him she's talking about. So she changed it from a bad relationship to a bad relationships. just an interesting thing. So yeah, that wedding video, of course, all over social media, all over YouTube, and why not, But I just wonder if it did think he happened upon it and just thought, oh, DL, and it just made him seethe, because there's him. Had he just spent a Christmas on his own, because this was the 30th of December, and as we all know, a lot of crimes happen after Christmas, New Year, or leading up to Christmas, or big dates. That's when people start to reassess their life. Was he sat there at Christmas thinking, oh, here we go, another Christmas on my own, I can't face it. Another New Year coming up, I've got nobody to celebrate it with, no kids. And there's Monique with this beautiful family, dentist husband and her 2 kids, and he's thinking it's all your fault. Is that what happened? Because something did that made him plan it, travel all that way to make sure this poor couple did not get a chance, to live that lovely life that they should now be leading. They should be in the new year now, have celebrated the new year. It's always sad, like losing my friend in New Year, but she's died of natural causes. And, her husband, he'll be devastated. I know that he'll be devastated because they've been together since they were about 14, 15. They're one of those rare couples these days. When I met Jane, they were engaged, I think. I don't think they were married then. And they'd just been together, because I was like struck then, by how long they'd been together. They were just, and they were like, I mean, I'm sure through their long married life, it won't all have been plain sailing. He was a social worker before he retired. Jane was a community nurse, so that, they've sort of served the public, and, like very caring people, very politically aware, like real sort of, Jane would get really angry about social misjustice and things like that. Our political leanings were similar. Just lovely people that would do anything for you. And then, of course, they have 3 children and grandchildren. So, life's very sad, isn't it? That's bad enough when someone dies of natural causes. But the way these people, these 2 people, Monique and Spencer, they had it taken from them in a different way, in the most brutal way. And, they're only in their late 30s with their young children. It's disgusting. I've got to hope they throw the book at this man. It's terrible what he's done. How dare he? How dare he do that to that family? And you know what? I don't think he cares now, because he'd just be thinking, well, as long as she's not happy, I don't care if I go to prison for life. Honestly, I think he just doesn't give a shit, because he just wanted to stop her being happy.